And we return to the second half of episode 27. I will
Punching
admit,
books.
I will admit that since we decided to start live streaming rather than doing the video, I don't usually get a pass at the video afterwards, which means I'm also not naming these episodes just yet. So we may have to figure out some way we can manage to name all of the stuff. Welcome back for the second half. We've had our extended break for today, and we'll be jumping back into it. So, the group settles in for a short rest. The wagons are circled around them. The people who they've saved, very happy to help in whatever way they can. Still nervous, but the scent and light and peace given off by a small candle lit by Ironbound makes everyone feel a bit more at ease. Time passes, people start to relax and recover a bit. But a couple of things are notable during this time. One, the darkness that sprouted from Clark's eyes while using the large black scythe did not go away right away. Not something you noticed. It made no effect on your immediate vision, but something that others would have noticed and perhaps stayed clear of. Certainly, while you rescued these people, any of them that take a look at the creature come to realize just how powerful it was taken down. The creature, by the way, does dissipate over the next hour or so, its flesh melting away to that familiar black ichor and wandering off into the wind. Where it goes, you're not entirely sure. You've seen that people here, when they die, vanish. And there's talk of a ladder of progression or secession, falling down the ladder, becoming more primitive creatures, or being reborn as something other. But there's also talk of moving up the ladder. You remember Yaz originally, and Zir being the second head, the second entity that he was reborn with. And you wonder where this creature might have gone. You keep a watch out, because that other floating demon, still out there somewhere, chose to move and run when Clark showed his incredible prowess in that moment. You reflect on it, and almost immediately after the battle is over, while there's a lingering sense of your sister, it fades quickly. Over the next hour, though, you find yourself reflecting on that. And in the moment of relaxation, you hear your sister sitting beside you.
Clark would like to try to speak with her.
She seems attentive, looking at you curiously.
How are you here?
I would ask the same of you, brother. I assume this is a dream.
I am in hell.
Then it is a nightmare.
You should not be here.
It's probably true. And yet, I find myself drawn here. I have not seen you in some time.
Can we see her or hear either of them?
You do hear him speaking.
Okay.
He seems to be
He's
speaking to no
talking
one
to
in particular.
himself.
He's talking to no one, it seems. Why are you here? In this place you called hell?
Some thing sent us here to right some sort of wrong.
I see.
I was on my way to see you when
Were
it
you?
happened.
Well, I hope that you finish that journey. Both the one you were here for and the one that takes you out again. The war is going badly.
What war?
The hobgoblins are making a move for all the northern territories. All of the islands.
How did you find yourself in armor and wielding weapons? You're a merchant.
And I was traveling as a diplomat, trying to make sense of what was going on, trying to secure things we needed. Food is becoming harder to get. We can grow what we can on the islands, but when war strikes, more food is needed. I was on the front. It was not good.
I don't know how long we have to talk. These things often don't last as I understand it from my friends. Can you carry a message for me?
I can try. As you know, waking from a dream makes it all seem unreal. If this is a dream or a nightmare, I'm not sure what I'll remember.
If there is a clan named Red Spear, tell them that Murkhart survived their treachery.
I will carry a message as best as I can. I'm not familiar with the clan, but we're all binding together right now to try to fight off this hobgoblin army.
If I can get there, I will. Hold fast.
It would be good to see you again, and not in such a terrible place.
You too, sis. It's been too long.
It has been. And she kind of moves in for almost a bro hug, but in that moment, her image fades, and she's gone.
Clark looks to the middle ground, the middle distance.
And each of you, especially Elzara, the infinitely observant person, notices this speech. It's not loud. He's not speaking, shouting it out.
I can read lips.
But you can also read lips. What languages do you know? And what language would Clark have naturally slipped into?
She speaks mostly common, so it would be common.
Okay, so you'd stay with common.
Yeah. It depends on what she's speaking, but probably common.
It would be common for the most part.
Yeah.
She knows your Orcish isn't exactly as strong as it could be, and frankly, it's a little easier sometimes to say things in common.
Yeah.
Orcish being a more poetic language than most people realize it, talking a lot in metaphors and in pictures rather than direct speech. But yes, you picked out one half of a conversation, something about Murkhart surviving the treachery of the clan Red Spear, but also talking to someone who seemed to be there and confused.
And saying sis.
Yes, it was definitely family.
And probably the softest voice Clark has ever issued in public.
Did Zachus hear this going on? Or?
Make a perception check. I'm giving it for her because she has observant, and it's impossible to see.
It happens.
14?
Unless he's actively hiding his voice.
He's not really actively hiding it, and you're all in this fairly small space. I'll say with that, you did notice that Clark has taken to talking to himself. The shadows around his eyes are still there, though, as well. And you can imagine these not as bags in his eyes, but like literally shadow flowing in and out. It dissipates in a few minutes, but it was lasting longer after the spear or after the glaive was used.
I'll ask him about that later. In the meantime, I'll just kind of like... Well, Elzara is already asking what's going on, so I'll just pay attention to that.
And you're directly asking Clark?
No.
Okay.
I'll talk to him
Okay.
later.
Okay. We'll see if later comes. We'll be fine then.
Hopefully.
Right now, there's civilians.
Indeed, they are staying quite close to the center. There's no fire. There's nothing really to burn. They don't have many possessions. The few barrels and boxes they have are made out of crude stone. There seems to be, once again, a sort of petrified or strengthened hair which is bound up as used as rope for the most part. They're all hand carts. There are no animals that they're using either. And they seem to be fairly poor, a little bit thin. You can see a predominance of scars on each of them. And these scars are, like the others, magical in nature, easily seen that way. They take on sort of a physical form, but there's something ethereal about them. And it's a little bit unnerving. You have no problem identifying them. In fact, you kind of get an inner sense of their scars, even ones that they don't show publicly. Okay. But most of them don't seem to be debilitating too badly. They're just there. Some of them walk with a limp. Some of them have only one eye. Some have just a general frailty to them, which you can see kind of as a silver spiral just down their neck.
Has anyone traded up? Or they all traded down?
It looks as though these are, if you will, the commoner populace, where they've all suffered over time. Some of them tell a little bit of their story about how they've been here for, and they pause, as everyone does at this point, to say, I don't know how long. But they say that it feels like it's been decades to some of them. And others say, I swear it was a century, but I have no idea. The one thing they comment on is the fact that largely life is unchanging. It's painfully dull, in fact, because there's nothing happening. The best that they can hope for is to find some minerals, to find some crystals, finding something they can trade, which is unusual. And they trade it away for the small, strange forms of brew that they find, or just for entertainment. They're starved for entertainment. And they ask, one of them asks, a timid little gnome, "Can any of you sing? Please tell me someone can sing. I haven't heard music." "Oh, please, if you would. I can't offer you anything, but a song would be nice."
He'll. That's probably when he'll do his song of rest.
Okay.
And mostly it'll be the drums. Singing, sure. He's not quite as good at that, but he'll sing some song from the island he came from.
Okay.
Probably be in Draconic.
Make a performance check.
20.
20. Okay. The gnome kind of plops down in front of you, only a foot or two away, just almost in rapture at even the simple songs you put together. And you find this sort of reciprocal feeling of strength from his appreciation of your music. And it takes you back to simpler times, to the person who taught you how to play some of these music. And the words remind you of a melancholic vision of your family you haven't seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And the gnome is smitten, and as soon as you stop, asks you to play again. And you can see all of the others are also drawn in to see this performance. Some of them were supposed to be on guard, but they seem somewhat distracted and enraptured, even by simple songs.
Sure.
And as you play, and when you finish, there is a raucous applause now from all of them. Thank you so much.
A couple of giant beholders are clapping with their eye tentacles.
Tempting, but no. If you're seeing beholders clapping, you may have taken the wrong pills, or some of those
You
special
accidentally,
mushrooms we had before.
Poke yourself with one of your poison darts by any chance? Or?
Did you eat the snail?
No.
Don't lick the toads. That's all we know.
You've got the snail now. Somebody does. It's not me.
Not me.
It might be me. I don't know.
I don't know where the snail went to, but it may not be in a happy place right now.
Can I memorize new spells during a short rest, or is it only long?
Depends on the level of the spell, really. Actually, you can't memorize new spells. That would be something you do at the beginning of the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
You do get spell slots back, but not actually memorizing new spells.
When our rest is done, Clog will stand up
Okay.
and say, "We should move along."
Yes.
The candles burn down to mid now. You easily snuff it out.
And yeah, before we're done that, I'm going to cast a spell.
Okay.
I'm going to cast Tiny Servant
Okay.
again. Actually, before I do, I'm going to go over to Elzera and say, "Do you have a couple of healing potions I could borrow?" I mean, you have all of the potions.
No, a lot of them were in Amrun's bag, which I don't have.
I have one.
No, Emran's bag was just the stuff, just his personal stuff.
It was
all
just-
the group stuff was in the bag he gave you.
I have one.
Yes,
so
but
maybe this will
I
help.
wouldn't have had that on me, right? Because I was in the gardens.
Okay.
I thought that's what we had established.
Okay, well, I know that his bag was left behind, but I thought we'd said that the bag of
the group
stuff
bag.
he'd given to you,
Okay.
you had taken.
Okay, then yes, you're still keeping track of group.
I think you only had the one bag, though. That was part of the difficulty with the statue.
Yeah.
Everything had to come out of the bag that you had.
Yeah.
And you only had the
But that's it.
one with you.
Yeah, I mean, we would have had to redistribute
Yeah.
that stuff.
Okay. That's part of what you're carrying then, is the scant few things you would have also put in this bag.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because we have, like, a bunch of lesser healing potions. Thank you.
I mean, you're still keeping track of that because
Yeah.
you're better at that than I am.
I have one lesser healing potion on me right now. So
Keep it. Just in case. No, he will cast Tiny Servant with a candle 2 dolls and 2 potions or 2 lesser healing potions.
You could do that many with the Lesser Servant now.
If I max out, yeah.
Okay.
I only have up to level 5 spells, but I can use my 1 level 5 slot and get 5 critters.
Okay.
It takes a minute, I think. And
So the other doll and the other candle, those are gone now. Because you had cast this
Nope.
before that helped you get the stuff into the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Do they stay around, or do they go away?
Yeah, well, they were hanging on to my backpack, but then we slept for the night, and I didn't redo it.
Okay, so the duration is until
8 hours.
Okay. I want to make sure there weren't like
Yeah.
1,000 of these falling
Yeah,
behind
no,
you.
I was going to have them attacking the thing, but then I said, "Oh no, we had
Okay.
a night's sleep, and I didn't recast it in the morning."
Well, as the rest of you remember, seeing Ironbound do this before, the small bottle and the candle and the other things all sprout little tiny legs, little tiny arms.
The dolls stand up and stretch.
It could be weird if the doll doesn't animate itself in the normal way, and it's like grows 2 extra legs on the side of its head and kind of walks upside down. But in this case, it seems to work out okay. There's a bit of fright that's raised from the others who don't recognize this happening and are quite surprised.
I just go on the backpack.
And
Yeah.
since you don't seem to be reacting
Climb up
terribly
me.
to them, and they're climbing up, the other people keep a wide berth, but they are surprised.
Also, I was like obviously casting a spell for a while, and then these things happened.
How long does it take to cast that spell?
1 minute.
Okay. So it's quite a bit of concentration. There's that same gnome, let's call him Hector, who was appreciating your song before, is appreciating this song, but he doesn't quite understand it, and then when things start to move, he's backing away a little bit.
The casting would involve my drum and that sort of thing.
The little doll actually walks over to Hector and extends its hand, and Hector timidly takes it and shakes the hand. Cute. Very cute.
I normally don't do that.
And the doll just turns to you and shrugs.
I can't recast
It's only
that.
got like 2 fingers.
Yeah.
So we're on foot.
We are on foot.
The effect is still available for the 3 of you, but on you, unfortunately, the effect has faded. Of Wind Walk, in particular, referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could.
So unless you have a way to move 300 feet at a time, we're on foot. Or do I have polymorph on me? Did I prepare polymorph?
The others are gathering the wagons. You can see that while there are a few wagons here, there's actually a few more people than wagons. Some of them had been walking, or whatever they had coming with them is long since gone. A few of them are upset, but strangely not as upset as you might imagine, having lost friends that were consumed. But there's a sense of numbness from them, where even death is not permanent, and it's also, unfortunately, expected far too much.
On the
I can
topic
make
of, go ahead.
I can make myself fly.
But
It
not
doesn't
long.
last as long, nor does it go as fast, but
No.
I'm trying to calculate, like, inside my mind, how close are we to the...
I
The
believe,
map wasn't to scale, unfortunately.
yeah, and I believe you said that we had already traveled past where
I think we
L-
traveled up to
longer than
Longer than you would have expected from the basic descriptions,
Yeah.
but Valis didn't really know the distance.
yeah.
He knew the direction, and when you don't really have a sense of time, it's almost impossible to really figure out distance as well.
Yeah.
But he knew it was quite a long distance in this way. He also traveled by foot before, so everything is kind of thrown to the breeze at this point.
Yeah,
quite literally.
we had just reached the festering forest.
Yes,
and we know
Festering and
that-
even had also started to cross over across.
Yeah, the temple's on the edge of the forest, somewhere in the distance. We don't know exactly how far.
Yeah.
As people are getting ready to leave, someone had said that they were here to find berries, correct?
A couple of them were heading in this direction. They're not going in that direction now.
Yeah.
They would rather drive as quickly as they can back. One of them will actually offer his wagon because he'd just be dragging it back.
And
The wagon is made out of very simple wood, old wood though,
There's
patched
pack-
together.
There's no pack animals though.
Nope, and they're all basically hand carts anyway.
yeah.
Yeah, we might as well walk. I mean, we don't need to carry anything big unless the bag pops.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't.
It's looking a little stressed from all the activity, but it is holding. Yep.
Any trophies that Clark might have picked up, are they also now muck and disappeared?
Unfortunately, yes, the
Okay.
pieces and parts of the creature.
Even the teeth. Like,
Yep.
Yeah, the whole creature dissipates into ichor.
Yep. Have you? I asked them just if they had ever been to get the berries before, and if any of them have.
One of them, there's a couple actually that say we've traveled this way before. It's not too far. Once you see the temple, you're practically there. You can't see one from the other. There's enough forest in the way, and from what I saw out there, the forest has been growing itself, so it may have even covered over the pathway at this point.
Okay.
But shouldn't take you a full day's rest to get there.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys helped us. Are you heading that way?
yes.
Yes.
You?
If
We
if I
could-
could travel with you, maybe.
We could certainly use a guide who's been there before.
Well, I guess we can guide. And the dwarven woman you've been talking to turns to the human male, who just sort of shrugs. At this point, why not? And I'll name these people as well. That is Agatha. That's the dwarf. And Martin is the human.
Who's in-
Agatha Stone Fox and Martin Free. At least it would make the trip worth it. Hopefully they haven't run out. It's
Hopefully.
never happened, as far as I know. They've got stone barrels in the back meant to carry these things with stone tops that go across the top. The wagons themselves, as I said, look very, very ancient wood. They've been patched and repatched and patched and repatched.
I'll cast mending.
Okay.
on anything that seems.
Some places have been repaired by literally finding a stone to fit in, like on the wheel,
Yeah.
to fit in where the crack was. They found a stone and they kind of wrapped it with, again, a very strong hair. It's something you're thinking of when as you kind of pick up the tentacle and you see it starting to kind of slide and fall apart. It fell apart slower after you had it, but it did follow the rest of the body later.
Okay.
But there is the hair that is being used to bind these things that if the person had died or whatever, it didn't go away. So there are some things that can be preserved somehow.
Right.
It just didn't have anything to do on this right now.
Right.
Agatha looks at your work on the wagon and just sort of smiles to Martin. Our day's looking up already. That thing hasn't been repaired in, well, not since Joseph left. And Martin kind of wrinkles his face, looks down. He'll be back. The rest all kind of caravan together going towards Ember Skull, while the rest of you turn the other way. Agatha and Martin take each one side of the wagon on the trail out in front. It is essentially a hand cart with 4 wheels, but it could have been tied to a beast if there was one. The strange, for lack of a better word, nightmare seller had 2 large lumbering not dretches, sorry, I always forget the other ones. Had 2 large
Manes.
lumbering manes, thank you, as his ox cart holders, but they have no such thing.
Wait a second.
I would offer to help, but I'm not much strength when it comes to.
Agatha just sort of smiles. Don't worry, we've been hauling this thing for long enough. We'll manage. It gets a little hard when the ground gets rougher, but go around it. That's all you can do. And they proceed to lead you along the pathway. Are you just going to follow or
Yeah.
talk along the way, or now is later, if that makes any difference?
I mean, I'd chit chat, but
Okay.
nothing too deep.
Yeah, so
As you travel along, Agatha and Martin have clearly been together for a long time, and they chit chat a little bit. They kind of run out of stories because a lot of their stories are the same. They've traveled to Withergate. They traveled close to, but did not go near the Umbral nest. They were both curious. They did find some crystals scattered around the base of the nest. They brought a good profit, but they were too scared to go back. They've never crossed the Greybrook. They've come close to it, so close, in fact, that Joseph was lost when the Greybrook itself reared up, and a slimy wave washed over and just grabbed and pulled Joseph into the mire.
Were you on the bridge?
No, we just went close, by the side of it, really, and, well, we were curious.
Is the bridge safe to cross?
So far as I know, but we've never been across. The only thing on the other side is Hardgloom and Emberskull, and if we ever find ourselves in Hardgloom, we'll be coming the other way. As for Emberskull, she just sort of shudders. I don't want to go anywhere near that place.
Why not? Sorry, were you here? Tourist question.
I don't know, really. I guess I don't like the look of it. It peers down at you, and she kind of looks over. And even with the layer of fog and darkness that's there, the two bright eyes of Emberskull are visible, a beacon on the horizon. It's like you can't get away from the gaze. Like it's always watching you.
I'd like to see what fuels the light source. Anyway, I probably won't get to, but...
It's probably
It's like
pure
a ponder.
hatred and anger. And Martin kind of laughs at his own joke, and it's something. It feels like something that he said hundreds, thousands of times at this point. Agatha just chuckles as well. And they go back to hauling along.
I'm going to, during the rest, have tied the bag of holding to my leg like I usually do, underneath my skirts, to see if that helps cover some of the glow.
It's still noticeable, mostly at the rim bottom of your skirts. It kind of looks like you've got the cool neon underlighting, like you're a really rad car or something cyberpunk. And it's pretty noticeable.
Yeah.
If anybody stares, though...
Well, very possibly. You do catch both Martin and Agatha at some point looking at this strange glowing thing, and especially when you're readjusting.
Yeah.
They're kind of looking sideways at it. They seem to trust you, but they're also wary of so many things here. You also notice that their clothing is very, very simple.
Yeah.
It may have been really nice, fine clothes at one point, but now they're kind of patched and repatched rags, layered over layer. Despite the fact that it's not really hot, it's not really cold here. It's something on that uncomfortable edge of not quite warm enough. Was there something?
No, it's just... It was crooked, so I
Oh.
what's the marching order like? Is Clark near
I
the
don't know.
front, or...
What is the marching order like?
I'm in the front.
Okay. And Agatha and Martin are also near the front?
They're more or less leading. I mean, there's not
Yeah.
much other direction you can go. You do kind of make out faintly, as they pointed out, what looks like wagon tracks, but even as you're watching, you can see that the sort of faint breeze blows, and they're almost obscured immediately.
Clark usually takes the back.
Okay. I'll just kind of
I'll be in the
make
middle.
my way towards the back.
Okay.
Hopefully without, like, out of earshot of most people.
You can hold back.
As
You're gonna-
you head back there, you'll notice that Clark takes 5 steps and he jogs 3, and takes 5 steps, he jogs 3, takes 5 steps, jogs
Yeah.
3.
Having a little difficulty keeping caught up.
Oh,
It's kind of
yeah.
almost it's not a limp because it's not starting from his feet. It's more like there's a muscle twitch in your back. And so he's kind of moving forward and then kind of twitches a little bit. It's actually almost in a way like you're jogging and then slowing down.
I thought he was like
and
jogging
slowing
away
down.
from Zacchaeus because to avoid
He's
questions.
just trying to keep up with the
Okay.
character.
Yep.
All right. Hey, are you okay?
Fine.
You seem to be having a little bit of issues keeping up.
I think I'm cursed.
Is it because of the faceless man? The deal?
Clark will just point to his eye.
Yeah, and as you look closer, and as you're that close, you can see the now very solid scar that's bubbled across the side of his face.
Hopefully it can be undone at some point. I know you said you didn't want it to, but...
I earned it.
Yes, but you can unearn it, I'm sure. People can go up the ladder in this area. Speaking of your eye, the spectacular display of savagery earlier, that was amazing, first of all.
I had
But,
some help.
hmm?
I had some help.
The weapon. Your eyes were
Yes and no.
dark for several minutes. Are you okay? How does it work? Was the weapon
I
helping?
can't answer that question. but I felt a familiar presence guiding my hands. That presence is now gone.
Was it caused by whatever illusion was cast?
I don't know. I don't believe it was a befuddlement from any creature that we've seen yet, necessarily. Although that was my first thought.
Everybody else seemed to be having such... When you were staring into space, so was everybody else. They were all gradually getting eaten by this thing. I'm wondering what everybody else saw, and if the illusion was placed by that creature or by something else. The Nikoloth that tried to steal our pillar. I'm assuming he was following us for a while.
The flying demon thing?
Yes.
Probably.
If I had time to sit down and reorganize my spellbook slightly, I could possibly detect him before he jumps on us next time.
I think once we get off the road, you might have a better chance at that.
Anyway, if any other dreams, or if you have any ideas of anything I can use, basically, just feel free to let me know.
Will do.
Make an Arcana check, as you mentioned streams.
Untrained?
Mm-hmm.
9.
Okay. Something about the mentioning of the dreams, something that your sister had said as well, that she felt it was a dream. But when you described it as hell, she thought it was a nightmare. Something in that is gnawing at the back of your mind, but you can't quite put your finger on it.
The vision I had before going to town in that thing
The one... Alright, yes.
suggested that we are living in a dream, or we can be accessed by dreamers.
So this area is somewhat like a dream plane, where
don't
people
know.
dreaming can access it.
You're the magic man.
Have I heard of some such thing?
You can make an Arcana check.
19 plus...
Lots, I'm sure.
13.
So 14 now. So 23. 33.
So, there are a lot of treatises on dreams, trying to understand what they are. Some of the books declare them to be the realm of the gods, that the gods create dreams to send messages, but that doesn't explain that dream of being naked while getting ready for a test. Sometimes dreams and dreamlike qualities appear in other planar research. There's not a lot of work on that particular one. But the nature of a pocket realm lends itself to being more like a dream. And people who have experienced dreams have sometimes felt themselves to see other places. So there might be a connection there. Certainly, Clark has undergone a rather remarkable shift, both physically and presumably internally. Maybe there's something of that which drew it for him that didn't draw for anyone else.
Okay. I'll definitely ponder on it. But thanks for letting me know. I actually hadn't thought of that. And I'll make my way, like...
Clark will, as you leave, Clark will also hold up the glaive and say, "This thing also speaks to me."
And as you mention that, and as you kind of wield it, there's that back of the mind echo of, all it would take would be one swing.
It does not like any of you.
Good to know. What does it say?
Kill your friends.
It thirsts for blood, wherever it can get it.
Are you certain to be able to maintain control of this?
Never.
Well, that's good to know.
Sleep well.
Yeah, whenever I,
Clark will re-strap it to his back, however he carries it.
And presumably you carry it with the blade down.
Yeah.
And sort of the glaive mode as opposed to the when the blade pops up.
Yeah. I assume it does that on its own.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Then it's like awkward silence, and I'll just like rejoin the front.
I kind of imagine you two walking along, and as it kind of wheels the blade, you just let it moving a little bit further away. Well then, good talk.
Bye.
Kind of wandering up ahead. Leaving
At
Clark
least he
once
can't
again.
catch you.
Not with fire.
Elzora goes zoom.
Only has to come close. And that was another thing too that I don't remember the
I
reach
remember.
of that weapon. So
Yep.
I'm gonna
Alright.
go talk to Agatha and Martha, actually. Like, how?
Pardon?
I'm assuming we still have like quite a while ago.
It seems to be. The landscape doesn't change all that quickly. They are veering a little bit further and further away from Greybrook, this split of Greybrook. You can see the trees have kind of fallen over at this distance, over and across, and seem to almost grow up around and through Greybrook, so that festering is itself growing further out. Closer now, you actually see that the trees themselves look almost dead. There are no leaves on them. Their skin is dry and brittle, and yet they seem to be standing strongly with no swaying, no movement whatsoever. To your eyes, to Alzera's eyes, these trees seem unnatural, and you almost get the sense that they're still growing, and you can almost see them growing. And certainly the evidence of the fact that the ones on the other side of the river, the ones here, look no different, suggests that they grow up and this is what they look like. Twisted and bent, and at some points almost looking humanoid, with arms outstretched and different twisted poses. And Agatha and Martin definitely steer clear of those.
I don't blame them. I would do the same. Are they like? You're near the front too, or?
Oh yeah.
Although I'm assuming nobody mind. Like, I'm not trying to stay out of earshot. So Agatha, Martin, when you were about to be eaten by whatever that was back there,
both of them kind of look at each other, and there's a little bit of a shudder. Yeah, I remember it all too well, sort of.
What were you seeing? Everybody around was staring into space, but I'm assuming there was some sort of magic or illusion at work. What did you see in that moment? I'm assuming it was different for everybody.
They kind of look at each other. Well, we don't really know if it was different for everyone. Martin kind of frowns. I saw my home. It's been a long time. My daughter, my wife. Hell, that old horse I used to have. I had a spread back there. A bit of farming, a little bit of trade. I'm a trained blacksmith, although I haven't done any of it here. Best I can do is keep this wagon at least one major piece. All seems so far away.
Any particular person? You mentioned your wife and your daughter. Did they interact with you in any way?
Not really.
Or was it just a happy memory to lure? I'm assuming to lure you in.
I don't remember or don't know why, but. And you can see as he kind of concentrated, a little tear dropping down out of his eye. It was good. I haven't seen them in so long. I assume they're dead now.
Maybe not. Well, I can't guarantee this for sure, but time in this place seems to...
I don't want to think about it. If I think that they're out there somewhere and I can't get to them, it's just as bad. Worse than if they were long past.
If we find a way out, we can let you know. And we are going to find a way out.
I've heard that 1,000 times. For me, it was a ship I used to ride on. I was the cook. Not much use of that here. Nothing really to eat, except those damn coins. And they always taste so greasy. I suspect that's because they're somebody I knew. I was out on the ship one day. Captain had called for everybody on the top. We were heading into a storm. So batten down, we had to go through it. Shipment of goods had to go through. The last day I remember being not here. Storm shook the boat, tore it in a million pieces. I woke up not far from Greybrook. Up the far Ember Skull end. It flows out of the rock like a waterfall. It looks better there. It's not as slick as it is here. There was a small group of people who were making for the mountains. Don't think they ever made over the mountainside. Don't think anybody ever does. I wandered for a long time. Found myself in Withergate. It was a good day on that ship,
Well,
despite the storm.
Aside from the dying.
Oh, I made extra muffins that day. The
I'm
whole
sure.
place smelled great. That's what I saw. Nothing like what he saw. That was my last day, too. I had hit the road. We had some things to sell. There was a storm. I guess I've never really told anybody. Lightning, thunder, darkness. Came out of nowhere. Woke up on a pile of bones.
I think I know the pile of bones of which you speak. Quite
Buried
uncomfortable.
myself in those bones. You could hear them snuffling around up top. I guess they couldn't find me. Found everybody else, though. Howling into the night. Night, if that really means anything. I thought it was night. I left when it was night. Dug my way out of those bones and I ran.
Is that a loud story?
It's not being particularly quiet.
What-
Carries in this particular place.
On which day was this in your world?
My world.
Yes, it's the shadow is like a different plane of existence. From which plane were you originally?
What do you mean, which plane of existence? I was from the world.
Yes.
Ometia, like everyone.
What date was it in the world when the storm happened? Both of you.
Oh. Never did have much for years. It was springtime. I know that. Ice had cleared off. What was it? 2352? 2351, something like that.
Close enough. Agatha, do you remember yours? The day on which?
Oh, let's see. Well, I was born in 1122, and I was 75 on that boat. So I guess 1196, something like that. The current year of reckoning is
4116.
6 now, yeah, 4116.
So, and the first one was 2050.
We'll play back the tape to get the exact date, but
2352.
yeah,
Awesome.
so almost 2,000 years ago for him, and over 3,000 years ago for her.
Good.
Would you guys like to know the date that we left?
They actually, when Agatha says the year, Martin kind of looks strangely at her. I don't know if what year is it then?
4116.
They both look at each other. That can't be right. I ain't been here for.
Time
I have
moves.
been.
Differently. What year will it be when we get back?
Who knows?
Make an Arcana check.
Great.
As your newly found internal sense of time.
17 plus 14, so 31.
31. As you ask the question, something occurs to you. When Imral came back, Imral, who had been missing for about, I think, 9 months at that point, came back. He made an offhand comment, which he kind of walked away from and never spoke of again. That for him, he had been gone for hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
So while time moves differently here, it seems to move longer here.
Yeah.
Now, you don't know accurately how much time he was actually away. Clearly he didn't have a number. But in your internal reckoning, it may have only been hours back on Amisha.
Okay.
However, if these two truly had been here since that time, that means they've been here for thousands of years and not realized it.
I'm going to keep that comment to myself.
With the other thinking you've been doing too, the other thing you realize immediately is the stuff about dreams. Is time moves very strangely in dreams. So this may not be time at all, but something else. Weirdly enough, this entire place could be happening all now. Maybe time doesn't pass here. It bends your brain a little bit because you're also realizing, well, I know one thing happens in front of the other, and if time doesn't pass, but yet it seems to pass, and
Stop breaking physics.
yeah, it's weird.
Presumably there are breaks where people rest.
Especially Martin and Agatha, while they're hauling the cart along and they're used to it, there are a number of times when they have to stop.
Clark would like to catch up to Agatha in a moment such as that.
Okay.
And
Agatha's kind of there stretching out her legs and kind of sitting down a little bit, rubbing her knees.
Clark will say, I've heard your story. I hope you don't mind me overhearing.
I didn't mind telling it. I didn't think anybody cared after all this time. He didn't seem to care, and Martin's like, it's not that I didn't care, I just didn't know to stop saying things like that.
Clark pulls out a string. Tied to the string are 5 knoll jawbones.
What do you get there?
These are the howls you heard. No one else will hear them again.
Oh. It was Martin who actually heard the howls, but
He'll present it to both of them.
they kind of look at each other and look at you, and how are you intending to do this? Intimidation? Are you trying to reassure them?
Reassuring, but poorly.
Okay.
I'll add in, Clark does good work.
Clearly.
Wait, how do you still have those?
Yeah, that was what I was wondering.
Why haven't they disappeared?
I don't think they're from here.
Hmm.
Like we are not from here.
Interesting.
I have a hunch, according to their circumstances, that we are to create some sort of change here. Take solace in that this may be the first change. And he packs him away.
Agatha just kind of looks impressed. Martin kind of goes, well, if that's the only kind of change we're going to see, I suppose that's what we have to live with. Still, I'd rather have you helping us than fighting us. There's that. And Agatha kind of stands up. She's still a dwarf, so she kind of has to reach up to tap you on the shoulder. You'll do good work. And she kind of walks away, and you probably notice more than anyone as she throws a look to Martin, and Martin's just like, okay. The look is basically just let him have his moment and move on. We should probably get going again. And the two of them maybe cut their stretch a little bit short to move on. Martin starts to whistle. You suddenly realize why the gnome was so eager to hear someone sing.
Terrible whistler?
Despite whatever thousands of years he's had to potential practice, it is the kind of thing where, if done intentionally, you would be probably arrested for.
Right.
It is simultaneously tuneless and shrill, probably really good at calling for someone across a field, but not really making any kind of sense. And nonetheless, Agatha just sort of kind of deals with it as if she's heard it a few thousand times already.
Right.
Kuzaima will start to recite the stories that his mentor had collected.
Oh, okay.
The ones he knows.
Martin stops his shrill whistling so he can hear.
There we go.
What's one of the stories that Kuzaima... Did I get it right? Ironbound.
There we go.
No,
It was
Kuzaima was right. Trying to think of something. A lot of them would be fairy tale type stories. The types of little cultural things that warn you not to go into the forest at night.
Okay.
Almost Grimm's fairy tales type stuff. At one point he probably gets a good 10 minutes into the story of Eryxenes, the sapphire dragon, as she took over the halfling forests and ate them before he goes, oh, I shouldn't tell that one, and moves on to another story.
As you kind of let's make sure we don't do too much of this right beside the microphone too. I said it was the mic. Sorry if you were messed up by the dice bag. We're doing a little story roll.
Okay, the first thing that comes to mind is too dirty to
So you start to recite with vigor a story that you remember was popular at the bars, and then remember why it was popular for the punchline. And
it involved a priest, a whip, some potions, and someone getting very sad.
Somebody crying. Did your mentor write erotic fan fiction?
This is what you come to realize about your mentor.
Apparently, someone at the bar did.
Flashback to the document.
Yes, there's a story about what the heck those are. Yes, a treasure in the mountains, and a map and such.
Okay.
There'd be a lot of, there would be general types of stories that I would assume that just different places would have.
At one point, Martin speaks up. It's like, I think I know this story, and he starts to try to augment the story.
That was Ted!
And it's more like he's heard a story of the story. And how do you react to him trying to react with your story and potentially screwing it up?
I'll yes and
okay.
What he says, and I'll say that's not the version my mentor had heard, but continue and sort of work with that.
Okay.
Now, Kuzaima, though he's heard a number of the stories, doesn't have eidetic memory or anything, so he doesn't remember most of the ones that she had collected. So eventually he starts talking about his the town that he was from, and
is there a noticeable shift in his tone as he speaks to memory more than story?
A little bit. Mostly the difference is that he takes his hat off.
Oh.
So that people can see who he is.
And for the first time in a while, you see this small kobold in place of the bearded halfling, I think you said before.
Instead of a 3'3" halfling, there's a 2'3" skinny lizard dude. Lizard person. Bluish, metallic
the first
scales.
shock of colors people have seen in a long time.
Pretty much, and their clothes are all pretty drab. There's a little eep of surprise from Martin. And Agatha just said, I knew something was different about you.
Yeah, my voice kept coming from here.
Well, that would be part of it, yeah. And that's where people start to notice being a little bit shorter, Agatha noticed a little bit more sooner. And Martin's kind of oblivious to things.
Don't worry, he's cool.
Well, hopefully after hours of telling stories, they're okay with me.
They were in a pretty good mood when that happened.
And yeah, he'll continue on with stories about life growing up in the little mountain forest lake area, and about his childhood, and then growing up, and when he became he went through his adulthood ritual at 6, which he says was several years ago now. And talk about there's a bit of strangeness to his home life, particularly in reference to genders. There seems to be a split, but that's not anything any of them will worry about. And then something that kind of was hinted at earlier when he was talking about his family, he talks about seeing his partner giving birth to their first child, and then a separate partner with the second child, and then Kuzaima giving birth to the third child, and talk about how that was one of the first times that he had changed, and that's we sometimes have problems understanding you fixed folk. We change sometimes, become male, become female, mother or father.
Agatha pipes up, and I thought we had problems with so many folk assuming that everybody has a beard. And she kind of just sort of rubs her beardless chin, and then kind of rubs her hands, rinses her hands through her very, very short hair.
Did she have obvious breasts?
Yes.
Okay.
She wears a pair of them on her shoulders. It's weird to talk about obvious breasts.
Well, okay. Are you female?
Oh, of all the questions I've ever been given, that's the most delightful. Yes. Yes, I am. No children as of yet.
Most people, the beard is a telling thing I can identify by, but yes, I have known dwarves before around home.
And most of us do have beards, even the women from time to time. Here we find it too useful. Hair is one of the few things which seems to be producible.
Mm-hmm.
And dwarven hair, being among the strongest, is well prized, and also makes a great thread.
You are strong people.
Well, thank you for saying so.
As you may see, hair is not something we have.
Oh, I didn't mean it as a bad way. I'm sure you have other things.
Oh, that is fine. Yes, we do not need hair.
I'm fighting my inner Scottish to do for a dwarf, too, I gotta say.
But no, he will continue on with just stories around town of when he was bet a half a roast chicken that he couldn't make it 5 steps out onto the lake before he fell in, and how he made it 4 steps, and then kersplash. And yeah, he'll just continue on with other stories there. He will not recall, or he will not talk about anything from his stay with the Fae or the Illithids.
Okay. So there's a lot of talk of kind of the family when you were growing up, and then pretty much that's the area you're going for.
Yeah, well, basically, yeah, because he was kidnapped about a year after he got married.
Okay.
Within that time, they had 3 kids. Because kobolds.
Agatha gets into the storytelling mode, and actually tells of a raid they did on a small island town just off the coast. The ship actually did a raid on it. From her telling of the story, you start to realize that the ship that she was on was not solely engaged in trade. In fact, she never tells it this way, but from some of your experiences, actually mostly from Clark's experience, you realize that they were probably either pirates or at least raiders many of the time. They did do some trade from time to time, but they had a much more vigorous sailing trip than just delivering things from one place to another.
They were Vikings.
To some degree. In fact, actually, Agatha does tell a couple of tales of having fought some orcs at sea, and didn't win, but they got away with their sails, so they were happy for that. There's no sense of true animosity, but you do get the sense that the orcs that she was talking about, and possibly would have been 3,000 years ago at least, were much more frightening to the average person. She does know of half-orcs. They would have seen them on the islands that she traversed. But there's more of a cultural divide there. As you're going along and telling these stories, the mood lightens considerably. Martin and Agatha smile. And you realize in the time you've been here and the people you've talked to, smiles have been extraordinarily rare. Emotions of any kind seem to have been long lost in a lot of these people. And they're taking a great pleasure in it. Elzera, you are the first to notice, however, that in the direction, more or less, if the Ember Skull is behind you directly and you're kind of heading directly away from it, off to your left, there does seem to be multiple large black shadows that are moving through the sky. You can see them even despite the obscurement of the clouds at a certain level.
Are they coming? What direction are they?
They will be coming to cross the river and enter into Festering.
Guys? There's something over there coming this way.
And as you pointed out, you can see that they are indeed moving quite quickly. There seems to be at least one very large shadow and 4 smaller shadows. Make a perception check.
Blue brother, perhaps.
Nat 20.
That's 20.
So 28.
Whew. As you look at them, even though they're obscured and highly far away, their darkness is darker than everything else, which is why they stand out. It's like a shadow crossing across a dark room, but you can still pick out the somewhat familiar shape of a very large dragon, followed by several smaller dragons, heading high in the sky.
Dragons. Where
do we hide?
Well, there are rocky outcroppings. It'll be hard to hide the wagon, but as she says that, Martin and Agatha just look at each other. Scatter, either into the woods or into the rocks, but quickly.
Actually, I'll look for a good place where we can hide people.
There are outcroppings of rock. Kind of imagine that this trail that you're on is really more of a dip between larger, undulating, harsh piles of rock or shale, would be another way to think about it. On the other side, towards the river, there's a thick patch of the festering which has grown over, which would provide cover if you're careful within there, even though it doesn't have the thickness of leaves.
How close are we to the river?
At this point, the river is at least 100 feet away.
Okay.
But festering has grown that far, and you've been moving away from the river as it gets thicker and thicker.
How close are we to the temple?
The temple, actually, Agatha would say that you're still, still a good walk away. She keeps pointing to a ridge, which you can see, which is on the right-hand side, the river side, just beyond that ridge. So it's within sight. Guesstimating, you'd say a couple of miles, probably. But it's open terrain between here and there, other than the festering itself, which would be hard to move a cart through, or the rocky, which you couldn't move the cart through either.
I'm going to scatter to the rocks.
Okay. Just you. Scatter.
Scatter.
Actually, do I see a spot where we could fit several people together closely?
Not in one particular spot. It's going to be, there's several little outcroppings that you could kind of scatter underneath.
Okay.
Or going into the forest, you could probably all gather closer in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to cast a major image.
Okay.
Can be a 20-foot cube. I'm going to pick an outcrop and make it a bigger outcrop.
Okay.
And I say, everyone into the illusion.
I'll go into the illusion.
Go into the illusion.
Clark refuses, but he'll find a spot nearby and concentrate on his weapon. And a bubble of darkness envelops him.
There you go.
Casting darkness.
You've never seen him do anything like this before, but he sort of concentrates, holds a weapon in front of him, and
probably makes a thing in the sky, and then
envelops him quite readily. Okay.
He must be developing a liking to magic. I'll whisper that so we can hear me.
And once I'm in the illusion, I'm lighting up one of the other candles, the candle of illusion, which gives me +2 to my DC for things to see through.
Okay. Agatha and Martin have left the cart there. Or is anybody going to try to drag it off the road or just leave it there?
Unless there's something important in it, leave it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dragging it would probably take too much time, yeah.
All right. So you scatter off to the side of the road. What's the DC on the illusion?
Not great, unfortunately. Even with the +2, it's only a 16.
Okay.
I am going to turn into a spider.
Okay.
Small spider.
What about... Is it on you still?
It becomes part of me.
Yeah. Presumably you're also including the shield. Otherwise it's going to be a large shield over a tiny spider.
Yes.
Oh, please don't get crushed. It's like spider.
I'm going to spider and then climb onto Zacchus's shoe.
Okay.
Shoulder, not
You
shoe.
saw her change, presumably, so you're not just going to go, splat.
Okay, it's like... Shoulder or shoe?
You say
Shoulder.
16 with the DC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's really awful. You all move in there. I will take stealth rolls as well. You will have advantage on the stealth roll.
What's the stealth of a spider?
Good question.
Give me a second.
I would imagine
It's
they were
really good, I
pretty
think.
You
Good
just do your
dex,
stealth roll.
I think, is dex based.
Yeah, give me a second.
Well, plus, I mean, if she's a tiny spider, that's probably just, the dragon in the sky doesn't see you, but they might see Zacchus.
That's true. That's true. The spider pretty much has instant stealth. Or
Yeah.
Like it says a nat 20 for once.
Nice.
On a stealth roll, which is unusual.
How do you want darkness to work as far as
That's the reason you're getting advantage. He's got the illusion, which gives you advantage under that one. If they can see through the illusion, they also have to see through the stealth, essentially, in this case. In your case, a blob of darkness is a little bit unusual, but if they don't see anything in it, they can't target anything.
I rolled a 14.
What goes with it? What,
Sorry, 16.
Stealth?
yeah, yeah, right. Well, sorry.
I think it's a skill.
I was thinking magic.
And I think it's one of the you in particular should have.
26.
Yeah, that's right.
Negative 30.
Okay.
22 total.
All right.
I had a 16 out of 14. I can math.
Somebody want to roll for Agatha and for Martin?
I'll
You
roll.
can assume a +1 is all they have.
I got a 6 for one of them.
I got a total 20. Rolled a 19 and an 18
Nice.
for the other.
Nice.
On the other hand...
Yeah, did you roll with
Is-
advantage for...
Oh, yeah, I got a 1 and a 5.
Wow, okay.
However, if we're doing this as we normally do, we got 4 successes out of 5.
And then I got a nat 20. So.
So there are reasons why I had you roll, but this is the end result, essentially. Is anybody keeping an eye on them?
I am, yeah.
You can't if you're in the middle of the shadow, because it obscures your vision. Oh, wait, no, actually, it's fine for you. That's right. That's right.
It's kind of
anybody
like the
else.
staff of
Yeah.
insects that only you can see through.
That's right.
It's wonderful.
I'd forgotten about that.
Well, here's the thing. You can see...
Yeah, because you're
I have blind sight to 10 feet, but the dark vision goes out 15.
yeah,
So.
yeah. You actually have an extended version of dark vision. I will say you're not obscured by your own darkness because of that. Generates it. And you are keeping an eye out or not?
I am keeping an eye on. I'm on Zacchus's shoulder, like.
I'm just like holding my breath because I know she's looking.
So, as you guys are watching and kind of holding your breath, and Agatha and Martin are pulling back in there, and into the sort of wall as far as they can go as well. Agatha can't see around the illusion and kind of keeps poking her head out a little bit to see, and Martin pulls her back in, and kind of there's there's an annoyed look when he pulls her in, but there's the stern response on his face where she kind of holds something, and you can kind of imagine that if they survive this, he's going to hear about it a little bit later on. But as you're watching and looking and kind of looking up above, and in particular, Elzar, again with your keen vision, you can see that they are flying towards the forest, and then they take a turn and start to rotate around, and then it gets larger as they start to descend, and they descend quickly. The shape in the lead, everyone very soon recognizes just how large this is. This is the size of half of the library. as this beast emerges out of the darkness. You can see dark, black, dripping scales. In fact, as it passes overhead, it's like there is rain, but as the little drips and drops hit the ground, there's tss, 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 little bursts of almost smoke, and you can see little holes burrowed into the ground as just the sheer, almost the sweat is as acidic as they are, as it swoops downward. And there is a whoosh, whoosh, as it's powering and moving and swoops overhead. And then there is a intake of breath and a wash, like a fire hose of acid, runs across the road, obliterating the cart, tearing up some of the trees on the other side as the thing swoops in deeply and then swoops back up. As it swoops close to the festering, the edge of festering that's there, and the trees that were consumed by this acid are kind of melting away. The trees themselves seem to react to its presence, and it quickly swoops back upward as the trees grow and seem like they're trying to grab and snatch at the underside of this massive black dragon. And behind it, there are 5 more streams of acid. You only counted 4 other beings, but there's a 5th one that seems to appear out of nowhere. It has a trick. As they cut a swath into this forest, melting it down to a goo that seems to slide in. And you can see in the distance, 100 feet away, as the edge of the Gloom Brook, or Grey Brook, pardon me, reaches up and kind of pulls the sludge back down into it, clearing off a little bit of that area. And they swoop back upward and in through festering. You can hear branches cracking and breaking as it seems as though this giant aircraft or airliner kind of sized creature smashing through the upper layers of festering, crashing its way through, like the collision of an unmovable object and an unstoppable force. And in this particular instance, the unstoppable force won. And you all take a breath. And you look out at the melted cart. The wood kind of stripping away, the hair that was on there turning white and then gray ash and then turning away. The trees on the other side, a massive swath cut out of it. And even now you can see some of the other branches starting to move into the space. And a little tip of a crooked gray-white ash tree creeping up out of it. And then there's a, "Ow! Why did you kick me?" "Don't ever tug at me again," says Agatha. But otherwise, it seems to have passed.
I stay as a spider.
I've never seen them before. We've gone through this road a few times, but I've never seen them so close.
That was terrifying.
That's a big one, yes.
How many are there? I mean...
Oh, I don't know. Too many. And you can hear creaking, and there's a combination of hissing as the acid still seeps into the ground a little bit, but there's creaking and cracking as branches are growing into that space. You can even see like a field of new grass, little spurts coming up. From your perspective, even though, I mean, for one thing, you're tiny at the moment, but thinking back to the larger perspective of you being a druid, this is an amazing woods. It's powerful. The grove that you grew up in, there are some places where the trees grow quite quickly, and they can grow to be 20 feet in a year. But here is a grove in front of you, and you can feel its power emanating, but it is sick. It is torn. It is twisted. And the Grey Brook is feeding off of it as much as it is feeding it. Well, I guess we don't have to haul that damn cart anymore.
Great.
Agatha kicks him in the ankle again. "Hey, what was that for?" "Shut up." We will have what we can carry. Maybe the barrels survive. They're made of stone. And you kind of look over and you see the wagon kind of go kshunk, and one of the barrels kind of rolls out. But it's still solid. It is indeed. It's half full of acid, but the barrel has survived. You're carrying that, says Agatha. We're carrying it.
Can you just roll it?
That's a good idea.
There's a reason we keep you around.
Or, even better, how much does that thing weigh?
They're carved in. Can't be more than 50 pounds, I think.
I'll carry it.
Agatha just sort of looks up at you, goes to pat your shoulder, sees a spider on it, pats the other shoulder. That's all right, dear.
I'll cast Dancer's Floating Disc as a ritual.
So you start to cast a spell. This takes 10 minutes.
Oh, I thought it was 1 minute.
Well, it's as a ritual, it takes
Okay.
10 minutes extra, right? But you go, you got this, and you go, okay. You start to cast the spell, and she's kind of looking at you, arms crossed, not really paying much attention. Martin's gone out and is kind of tentatively kicking at the thing, and then kind of pulls his foot away as his kind of leather-bound boot gets a little bit hissed on the end. Goes over, grabs a branch of the wood that has been severed from the rest. It weirdly has a darker tint now, no longer the sort of pale white birch that it was, and so he starts to use that to poke at it. The branch starts to hiss at the end, but he's kind of teasing the barrels out of the space. The rest of the wood is starting to disintegrate once more. Okay. But after a few minutes, there's no further repeat. It looks like they were returning back. You have heard that the broodmother was looking for something in festering, so clearly that's where they seem to have their home. And this disc appears. And you navigate it over to the barrels.
Yep. Or I'll just walk, because it follows me, like, if I move
right,
further.
Right, you can't direct it where it's just going to follow you.
I'll just tell them to load the barrel up on the thing.
Okay. Martin and Agatha together. They look like they've done this many times. Carefully tilting out the barrel of acid into the ground. You can see it's digging a hole in there and setting the barrel up on the thing. It kind of reacts almost a little bit to the thing and stabilizes pretty readily. Handy. How long does this thing last?
Yeah, about an hour.
Oh, well. Should be a little faster than the cart anyway.
So nobody has to carry anything.
Loads it on. Shall we then?
While he's been casting, I'm on his back making a web.
Okay.
An hour.
All right. You start to spin a web. Is it an artistic web, or is it just a web to hang in? Or are you building a nest? What's it look like?
I'm making something that will be annoying if he goes to scratch his back.
Okay. All right. Make a performance check as a spider.
Now, let's see.
I bet you it's like all here in the back of my hair.
Oh yeah, 5.
5. It's kind of messy. It takes you a while.
And just for shits, I rolled a 14 on stealth.
Okay. You think it's perfect, and it looks great to you, and then the one time he kind of moves his hand back there, the whole thing wipes away. And you have little spider silk on your hand. You proceed along?
Yeah.
Are you going to go at the same pace? You're going to go stealthily? Do you want to change anything about the way you were traveling?
I stay as a spider.
Okay. You don't have to. I'm just asking.
The orb of darkness evaporates.
It does.
Leaving a strange-looking eye, and attached to the eye is a clarg.
An eye? What?
That's new.
Yeah, it kind of evaporates into your eyes, actually,
okay.
I'm imagining, is what you're trying to say, I think.
Gotcha.
If I've got you properly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you didn't like magic.
You don't. But this thing does. Pull it up again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's a weapon born of this place, I think.
Hopefully you can take it back, assuming it doesn't kill us.
I'm not sure I want to.
Well, I'm sure if you end up not taking it back, there will be
I
excellent magical weapons in the future.
Onto
Anyway.
the ground.
Okay. Agatha's kind of trying to push
Yeah.
the circle. It's like, how do you make this thing go?
I just go and it follows me
Oh.
after I walk a certain distance away from it.
Well, shall we walk then?
Yes.
Clark will try to keep up.
Okay.
I will
Uh,
climb onto Clark.
Okay. Make a stealth roll, just for fun.
Jumping spider.
18 passive if you need it.
Dirty 20.
All right. Yep. You hop onto Clark's leg as he's walking along. He slows down every once in a while, and it's easy to kind of catch up. You make your way along.
We currently have the same speed.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
we do
Although
now.
he's jogging every
Would
once
you
in
like
a
to
while.
jump on the disc?
No, but thank you.
As you climb up a bit and start to crest that hill that they mentioned, or the hell for that matter.
We're crossing hell.
Pretty much. The rock does grow up to this outcropping that's there, and you can see that the trees have kind of reached to the bottom of this outcropping. And on the other side of the outcropping is indeed a squat gray stone building, form you've seen multiple times, but one you now recognize as probably a temple of Mnemosyne. You can see the large arch out front. And you also see, milling around the outside, a dozen humanoid shapes. But they take 3 or 4 distinct sizes. They don't seem to notice you as you come to the crest of the hill, but you're a little worried that they might. They're gray-skinned. A few of them, 2 I think in particular, have what look like 4 arms. 2 of them extending like pincers up above, and the other 2 down below. One has kind of lumbering over. Its broad shoulders, its face a mask, almost like melted down all the features to leave 2 bulbous eyes and a row of teeth, and its hands and feet are missing, replaced with chitinous spikes that seems to be dragging almost as it moves along. A third group seems like a strung out longer human. In fact, the shape and the gray color of it reminds a few of you of what you'd seen when a shapeshifter had lost its form and was kind of gray and simple. But then it turns as kind of milling about, and you can see its jaw is extended downward as this general sorrowful look. And these things are circling around the building. From beside you, in the rock, unnoticed for the moment, you hear, "Psst, hey, psst, come here."
I'll follow that.
And you look over to see a gnome, a small male gnome, wearing the simple white robes of the followers of Mnemosyne. "Don't go any closer. They'll eat you apart, or stab you, or do all sorts of things. Are you here to rescue us?"
Who are you?
The spider shakes.
Are you Bernard?
Ugh.
No, my name is Orda. I'm Speaker Orda of the temple. The high priest is stuck inside, and I haven't been able to get close enough to, well, help her. I was hoping that the other temple would get our message. I sent some people out with it, well, a while ago, but I haven't seen anybody since. The Sorrowsworn just showed up. I think they're attracted by the temple itself, a last bit of hope. We saw some people tried to come in, and it wasn't pretty.
You're having bad luck with high priestesses lately.
Yes.
Really?
We come from words. Withergate.
Yeah.
We bear a message that the High Priestess.
Oh, you're from the temple. You've spoken to Polema
Yes, Polema.
and Valis.
Yes,
Oh, good.
Polema
You
has
did
a
get our
son.
message then.
For about
I
30 minutes.
don't
Didn't
know.
What?
They never mentioned a message.
Oh, blast.
Priestess Polema has ascended.
Has what?
Ascended.
The exact term he used was elevated.
Elevated, yes.
Oh,
Chilling up.
well, that's mixed news. Very happy. Mnemosyne has seen to draw forth another one of their followers, and but you didn't get the message, and this could be complicated.
We need those things killed.
Well, yeah, I was hoping just to sort of find my way in, but if you could dispatch them, they're poor lost souls that I don't think even we can help. Maybe given time. The High Priest Ina is always saying all it takes is time, and solutions
You know, a
can...
gnome is a farmer. Makes berries like
Oh.
these Tinkle, tinkle.
Yes. And for the first time, each of you see that Ironbound has a small jar of thornberries.
All of my eyes go.
Where did you get
Stink
those?
eye from 15 eyes.
They seem like they needed them. I figured you guys needed them.
Are those thornberries? Oh, yes. Bernard, just down the way, he grows them.
Please tell us he's still alive.
Well, I haven't been there in a while. I haven't been there in quite a while, actually. In fact, I haven't seen him come by, but I'm sure he's fine.
Are there any other entrances into the temple aside from the one guarded by several horrors?
Oh, no. No, we would never have a second entrance. That wouldn't make any sense.
Do you have any windows?
No. We would never have windows. All you need is internal. It's the way of Namazani. Seek the inner peace and you can find outer mastery. It's the way that we've always been taught.
Defensively makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Clark holds up the glaive and says, "What? What's that? Kill them all? Right." And Clark starts walking towards the group.
Okay.
Which
You can
group?
actually
Us,
see
the
that
group, or like the group of monsters.
The group circling the church.
you can see that one of the ones
I'm in
with
for the ride.
the 4 arms, it actually makes a run for the arch, and you can see that they move slowly when they get towards the center of the arch, and then they're pushed backward. They can't make it in. Do you have a plan?
Could we? Is it going to keep us out too?
Well, no, I can go with you. I'm sure that it would be fine. You all seem like nice people.
And we are sent here by Speaker Valis to check on the status of
Oh,
the temple. And,
maybe he
it
did
looks-
get my message, just the different way that Namazani sends messages.
It looks like our friend has a plan already.
He's moving slowly.
The spider is like onward.
Because it is 8 o'clock, I'm going to call it there. We'll have the encounter at the temple next
Yep.
week.
Not a problem.
Onward.
Thanks a lot, guys, for playing. Thank you for watching. If you're watching, if you're not watching, I have no idea what you're doing now. So just keep doing that. You're fine. This has been another episode of Legends of the Drowned Isles. We are very happy to have fun, and hopefully you have fun along with us. If you want to express your delight of our fun, maybe Marie, you could tell them how to do that.
You can like our Facebook page, which I updated at the beginning of this show. It is Legend of the Drowned Isles. We also have a Facebook group that we want to be more active with, but a lot of us have not a lot of free time. So we try. But we do talk sometimes in there about ideas about the game and such.
Did I remember to put the map up?
I don't think I got a notification about that.
Okay, I will put the map up, which is the crude map that Speaker Valis gave them of the shadow.
Busy people doing busy things.
It's a life.
So, and that's Watchers of the Drowned Isles, but you can find it through the Facebook page.
Absolutely. And if people think this video is super important and want to share it,
Oh,
or want to watch more of these videos, what should they do?
they should like and subscribe to our channel. Yours is
YouTube.com/ENCAF1. I
Yeah.
am marked the encaffeinated one. So
like the video, share it, ring the bell for notifications, and please tell others. Forward the video to your friends. Maybe they'll like it too.
And comment and tell us what you think about it.
Yep. And suppose there was something you didn't care for, or something that we could do differently. Maybe it's the way we presented the video. Maybe it's the overhead map. Maybe it's the fact that I'm watching my own video stop here. Whatever it is, let me know. I'd love to know about ways we can change and improve this. We're always constantly changing and improving one thing or another, or breaking something and then trying something entirely different. If you would care to do so, please do so. And we shall see you again. I believe we're going to be having a session next week. We'll have the week after off, and then we'll return back in March. Ugh. How did that happen?
Don't know.
All right, well, folks, I have to look over here to click at something.
Bye.
But we shall see you all. Well, it'll take. I'm now waiting for the computer to catch up to me. So we're gonna just chat for a moment. Anything anybody wants to bring up? favorite things.
NBCon has a new announcement coming on Monday night.
That's true. So
that I'll be making around 6 our time.
If you are local to New Brunswick or local to the Maritimes, really, NBCon is the yearly gaming convention. When is it happening?
It is the end of September, the 27th to the 29th at the Fredericton Inn.
There you go.
So, but yes, we have a new sponsor announcement for that is coming tomorrow.
And maybe I'll make one last plug. If you're curious about talking about games, then maybe you can tune into Head in the Game. It's hosted on CHSR FM 97.9 Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Or you can find the podcast at chsrfm.ca/hitg. That's chsrfm.ca/hitg for Head in the Game. It's all about gaming, and we're having a lot of fun with it. So I hope you will as well. I can now press this button. I'll see you guys next week.
Okay.
Waiting.